Can Super Smash Bros. Ultimate save Nintendo Switch? Okay. Let's first be honest. Does the Switch even need saving? Well, on the whole, probably not, because Nintendo Switch is already a massively successful system. Just in the United States, it's already sold 8.2 million units, which does surpass the lifetime total of Wii U in the United States, which was 6.49 million. It still hasn't surpassed the GameCube itself in the US, although overall it has surpassed GameCube's worldwide sales with around 23 million, and that's before we count the sales from the holidays and all of that jazz. So obviously the Switch is successful. But the question I have is, can it be more successful or as successful as the Wii? Well, thanks to Ars Technica, who did some deep research into the first rough 20 months of sales data in the United States, at least, we now know how well the Switch has sold in comparison to basically every other device. Now, let's just look at the numbers. It sits at 5th on the chart overall. However, it might really be 4th because the Nintendo DS, which is at the number 3 spot and had 9.2 million sold, was in about 26 months. So it had 6 months of extra data. Chances are the Switch would probably be ahead of that. They just couldn't find accurate data for a 20-month period to match Nintendo Switch. So what we do know is that Game Boy Advance in its first 20 months was at 12 million in just the United States, though Nintendo Wii was at 11 million, and we know overall the Wii ended up outselling the Game Boy Advance, and obviously PlayStation 2 chimed in at 8.6. So then it's Switch. Now from Switch, it's actually quite a drop-off, because it goes from Switch down to the 6.7 million which in about 21 months from the PSP. However, we don't really know where the N64 was sitting because they only could find 15-month data for it, so that's a 6.3. Maybe the N64 was closer to the Nintendo Switch than this graph indicates, and then it just goes on down from there to Xbox 360, Xbox, PlayStation 3, GameCube, blah, 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 all the way down to Sega Saturn, which only had 1 million sold in their first 20 months on the market. So Nintendo Switch is sitting pretty. And if you're actually curious what the sales are per month, Nintendo Switch is selling about 410,000 units in the United States per month, which compares well to the N64, which was selling about 417,000 per month. PlayStation 2 was at 430,000, Wii was at 543, and Game Boy Advance was at 598,000. But again, we also know Game Boy Advance did tail off after 2 to 3 years and ended up not maintaining that sales pace throughout its whole lifetime. So it's going to be interesting to see where Switch is. Now, why do I talk about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and if it could save Switch? Well, obviously, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee gave Switch a massive boost. It sold over 1.5 million units to date just in the United States, and we know that the Switch was, the third or fourth best-selling item over a 5-day period, and it was the highest sales of an individual piece of technology that Nintendo has ever had in that 5-day sales period, which runs like Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. So good on Nintendo for just killing it this holiday, or at least that 5-day holiday period with Switch, especially considering that Switch was $100 more than the competition that were dropping, PlayStation 4s and Xbox One S's to $200 with games. You could get $300 with Mario Kart 8. That was kind of like the big bundle-in deal. Obviously, there were ways to get it a little bit cheaper, especially if you took advantage of that GameStop deal on Cyber Monday, which still required you to spend $300, but you got some of that money back to spend on other things. So I honestly think that Switch surprisingly killed it this holiday, considering that Pokemon was really the only major thing to push it, besides the bundles and some of the old games from 2017. Now, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate arrives in a week, right? 1 week from today, we all will be playing Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, or at least I hope we all will be. I'm up in the air on if I'll have the money to pay it off by Friday, but whatever. I'll figure it out. I always figure it out. Didn't think I'd have the money for Pokemon. Figured it out. I'll figure it out. So, can it save Nintendo Switch? What that means is, can it take Switch to a massive success beyond that 5-day period in November? Can it take Switch and boost its sales in December to a point where Nintendo Switch is back on pace with Wii? Now, if you guys remember last year, there was a time in like the first 8 months where Nintendo Switch was actually ahead of the pace of Wii in terms of sales over a similar time period. But now we know it's behind the 8 ball on the Wii by a fair chunk, about 2.7 million in the same time span. And this is its second holiday period, whereas obviously Wii would have had just entering into its second holiday period, where it also got a boost in sales. So can Super Smash Bros. Ultimate actually boost the sales even more? Now remember, this is just the United States. I can't speak worldwide. We don't have numbers for worldwide, so I can't compare worldwide. I honestly think in the United States, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate might be a bigger system seller than Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. No, let me explain. See, the Nintendo Switch, specifically in the United States, massively appeals to an adult audience, a young adult audience. Some of you guys are, I guess I'm 32. Am I part of that audience? I think I'm in that age group, 18 to 35. So it has a massive appeal to the young adult audience in the United States, mostly because we're the people that primarily would love to play console quality games on the go anywhere we are, because it's really hard for us to find time to plop down in front of a TV, unlike when we were younger and when we were teenagers and we spent a lot of time in front of the TV in between our sporting events and whatever extracurricular activities we had. We somehow always found time for TV, and as such, I think even a lot of younger gamers today, while they are playing on their phones and their tablets and all that, I still see them playing PlayStation 4s, Xbox Ones, even Wii U's at times on their TVs at home during their spare time, sometimes even in their own bedrooms. So I think that Switch's appeal is to a more adult audience in the U.S., despite the fact that Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, I think is trying to appeal to a younger audience. I don't know if it actually is. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm a young adult, so I don't know if it's actually hitting its target audience, but I do think that that's the intended nature of that. Whereas Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I feel like, is calling out to any person who has ever played a Smash Bros. Game, whether it was on the N64, GameCube, Wii U, Wii, or now, Nintendo Switch. It's calling out to everyone who's ever cared about Super Smash Bros. By releasing a game that is essentially the Ultimate Edition with every character, a large majority of the stages, not all of them, plus new stages, plus new modes. Yeah, it might be missing modes you'd rather it have than the modes it does have, but whatever. Adding the story mode in, maybe you prefer the Subspace Emissary more, doesn't really matter. The fact there is a story mode at all is already a boon over recent Smash games, and obviously improved online, hopefully. Crossing our fingers, improved online. There's definitely more modes to use online, at least this time around. And I honestly am thinking that this game is really going to call on every Smash Bros. Fan that's ever existed, even if you only played in one generation. Are you a massive Melee fan? Chances are you're finally going to pick up a Smash Bros. Game if you've been ignoring the last two entries. Have you not played since the N64? Chances are you're going to play this, because the idea that the initial roster is only the initial N64 roster might massively appeal to you. So I honestly think that they have found a way to appeal to every Smash Bros. Fan that's ever existed. And that, to me, is astonishing, because they've never successfully done that with really any of their games. You look at Super Mario Odyssey. It didn't appeal to everyone who liked Galaxy and everyone who liked Mario 64. It appealed to many of them, but not all of them. You look at Breath of the Wild. Appeals to a lot of people who love Zelda games and a lot of people who don't. So I honestly think that for the first time in maybe Nintendo's history, they have a game, a sequel, a new entry in a franchise that literally appeals to every single person who's ever played a prior entry, regardless of which one is your favorite. That doesn't mean there aren't people that aren't disappointed. I've seen a few people that, we actually had someone on Prime Answers that mentioned, is it wrong to be disappointed about Smash? Like, the community's really giving me hell, and it's not wrong to be disappointed. That person's still picking up Smash, because there's still enough going on in that game to make them want to buy it. So that's my thing. Regardless if it's not even the perfect Smash Bros. Game for you, I think it's the perfect Smash Bros. Game for the entire Smash Bros. Community to get them interested. So what does that mean? Well, the best-selling Smash Bros. Game on a single system ever was on Wii, when it sold about 13 million units. Now on 3DS and Wii U, the Super Smash Bros. Game combined sales were about 15 million or so. But again, those weren't, that's over two different platforms. Obviously, if you take Smash Bros. And you threw it on Xbox One and you throw it on PlayStation 4, it's going to have way more sales than just, the 13 million that it had there, and the 15 million between 3DS and Wii U. So the more systems it's on, the more it's going to sell, is basically what I'm saying. Same's true for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Its combined sales with Wii U now is, 18 million, 20 million? It's crazy. So let's just look at this game in a vacuum. with every Smash Bros. Player out there likely planning to play this game because it is the ultimate version of Smash Bros., I think Switches in the United States are going to boost in sales. And it might, this is going to be really crazy of me to say, it might actually boost sales just as much as the sales period that happened from Thanksgiving through Cyber Monday. Despite the fact that a lot of those deals don't exist anymore, I think the launch week, let's go from Friday to Friday. So let's give it, it's going to be over a 2-week sales period that we'll see this data. We're not going to even see the data until January anyways. But over that period, let's just say, fine, all of December. All of December is probably a better way to look at it. Is going to have better sales than they did in November. All of November. Yes, the entirety of November. Even when the Smash Bros. Bundle came out on November 6th. Okay, so they've already been selling systems based on Smash this month. You know, the last day of this month. They've been selling a whole bunch of systems based on Pokemon later. December is going to be even better. Because there's going to be so many people who are waiting and putting it off. And during the holidays, we're buying gifts for everyone else. But in December, you're not buying Smash Bros. For somebody else. That's where you're buying something for yourself. And in buying something for yourself, you're going to have to pick up the system to play it on as well. I think Nintendo Switch is about to set a massive sales record for this overall quarter. I think this quarter from October through December might end up being the best quarter in Nintendo's history when it comes to individual system sales of a single platform. Not just setting the record for that 5-day period in November, setting it for the entire quarter. And I think Pokemon obviously played its part for November, but I think it's going to be Smash Bros. That's going to be playing its part for December. And that's what I mean by saving Nintendo Switch. Not that Nintendo Switch is in danger and Nintendo's going to replace it next year. This isn't a Wii U situation, right? You notice how in all of that list I mentioned, I never even mentioned Wii U in terms of being even on the estimated U.S. console sales because it was bad. It only sold like 6 million overall. It was bad. But I think that this is going to make it match Wii again. And maybe even exceed it by the time this holiday period is done. Now, I don't know if Nintendo Switch is ever going to hit 100 million units worldwide, right? I don't know if it's even going to pass the total U.S. sales for Wii. I mean, if you're curious what the total U.S. sales for Wii were, it's 48.64 million units just in the United States. That's almost half of the Wii install base, and I don't know that the Switch is ever going to hit that, right? It might not, but, by the end of this, fiscal quarter, by the end of this fiscal year, could it pass GameCube's 13 million in the U.S.? Maybe. Is it going to pass the N64's 20? Probably. Will it cross the 3DS? 22. I think so. And maybe even the Super NES at 23.35. But then, will it get past the NES? Will it get past the Game Boy, the Wii, or the mystical DS line that sold, 60 million units in just the U.S.? I don't know. I think it's a lot of pressure to put on a single system to try to match those sales. But what I do think will happen is Switch is going to be back on the upswing heading into 2019 in a way like we have never seen a system do before since the Wii, or DS, to be frank. And with that being said, I think that's going to lead to 2019 being the most successful year of Switch yet. There's already a group out there that's predicting the Nintendo Switch is going to outsell the PlayStation 4 next year, and I think that's great. I think it's the first year the Switch will ever be able to fully outsell the PlayStation 4, and I feel like that's a wonderful thing, even though they're only projecting the Switch to come ahead by 200,000 units. But I don't agree with their projections at all. They're projecting 17 million. I think Switch is hitting 20 plus next year. Why? Look at the lineup next year. Look at the games. Look at the system sellers. And look at the upswing momentum Pokemon and Smash is giving heading into 2019. I think Nintendo is in the midst of their most successful year yet coming up. And I can't wait to see what Nintendo does with it. I'm really hoping they don't squander it in 2020. We already know 2019 is going to have a bunch of amazing games. I really hope it's not squandered by 2020. I really hope Nintendo's not off-put by what PlayStation 5 ends up being, or the next Xbox, or the streaming service Microsoft is doing. I realize there's a lot going on in this industry, and maybe a lot more stuff I should even be talking about. It's not Nintendo related, but it could affect Nintendo. But I think Nintendo's in a unique position with a system that none of the PlayStation 5s or Xbox, 2s or whatever the worlds can truly compete with when it comes to the convenience and the portability. So, yeah, I think Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is going to save Nintendo Switch from itself, from a somewhat cruddy 2018 to upswing the 2019 to the best-selling year yet. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think about this down in the comments below. Do you agree with my analysis? Do you think Smash Bros. Is going to have that big of an impact? Or do you think I'm just a crazy kook who doesn't know what he's talking about and should just go drop off the face of the planet? You guys let me know. Well, I can't really drop off the face. Remember, Earth is round. I'm not a flat earther over here. Seriously. Anyways, I'm Nathaniel Robojets from Nintendo Prime. If you like this video, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Subscribe for a hell of a lot more content moving forward. I'm not sure how many more videos I have today. I got some family stuff going on. But I'm going to try my best to get as much out as I can. Also, be sure to enter our Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch Bundle giveaway. It is a 50,000 subscriber giveaway. So when we hit that 50K, which, by the way, we are on a record pace of subs over the last week. I don't know what is happening, how things are exploding, but thank you so much for your guys' support and for enjoying the content. The viewership has been going nuts. I honestly have no idea what I'm doing so right, but I'm obviously doing something right. So thank you so much for enjoying my content. And man, oh man, I will catch you in the next one.